Welcome to day 13. We're getting towards the end of the second week now. Hope you're enjoying this series so far. Today we're going to do a rhythm guitar thing, and it's one of my favourite funk rhythm guitar exercises. I think I've looked at this exercise in previous videos, but it's such a good one that I don't mind repeating it again here. So the way it works is this. We're going to be working with this funk approved ninth chord grip. So I'm starting, this is an E9, I've got the 7th fret on the 5th string, and then it's fret 6, and then I'm barring across this bunch of 3 notes with my 3rd finger. It's one of these chords where you've got to bend your 3rd finger backwards to get the chord clean. So make sure that all of those notes are nice and clean. You do want to keep the low E string muted for this particular chord. It's really important, particularly with funk, because we're going to be strumming all of the strings and you don't want any random open string noise. So the way you do that, and I'm nudging into the low E string with my 2nd finger here, I'm also probably just touching it with my thumb as well, so there's kind of double insurance against any unwanted open string noise. And what we're going to do is play that chord in a funky 16th note kind of a rhythm, and we're going to be targeting each of the 16th note subdivisions in turn by squeezing down this chord shape. So we're going to have muted strings and then accents when we actually squeeze down the chord. So let's begin by just establishing that 16th note groove. So 16th notes, it means you've got 4 subdivisions per beat. If you find it helpful, you can just think about 16th notes as 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. It's a little bit awkward. It's better if you just feel these rhythms, I think, ultimately. So we've got this kind of you might just want to establish that to begin with. I'm just doing that with muted strings, so I'm just resting my fretting hand across all of the strings so they're all muted. Then I've got that 16th note groove happening with my strumming hand. And particularly with funk, I mean, I think with all rhythm guitar you want to stay nice and relaxed, but with these 16th note strums, just nice and loose. And for me, the strumming motion, it's a combination of forearm. My wrist is quite loose as well. There might even be a little bit of shoulder in it. It's not, you don't want kind of this kind of thing happening, or just using your wrist. It's the whole arm is involved here. Make sure you stay nice and relaxed, and that way you're going to be able to achieve the best kind of groove, the tightest groove. So. Once you're comfortable with that, we're going to start adding in these 16th note accents, and the first pattern is this. We're just going to squeeze down on the beat, so on the 1, 2, 3 and the 4. The rest of the time we've just got these muted strums, so we're just squeezing down quickly and then releasing pressure again, so you get this sound. So nice quick squeeze with your fretting hand there. So that's the first pattern. Then we're simply going to move those accents along to the next 16th note. So if you're thinking 1 E, and we're going to move the accent from the 1 onto the E, so the next 16th note subdivision along. And we're going to be squeezing down, and this accent's going to fall on an upstroke of the pick. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that accent is coming right after the strong beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can spend some time with that rhythm. That's almost certainly going to sound or feel a little bit more awkward than the first example. Then let's move that 16th note accent along to the next subdivision. So now it's going to be falling on a downstroke once again, and it's going to be on the and. So the 1 E and a. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a. And then we can move it along once again to the last 16th note in the beat, so 1 E and a. So this is again going to be falling on an upstroke of the pick. So 1, E and up. So we've got 4 different rhythms to play around with there, and you might want to spend a bit of time working with each of those rhythms in turn, just making sure you're feeling it properly, making sure it's even. So your strumming hand, that's not changing, it's just holding down those 16th note subdivisions. It's this hand which is changing when you're squeezing down those accents. And once you've done that, then you can put everything together into one exercise. So you can spend as long as you like on each of these rhythms, but perhaps you could do 2 bars on each of these rhythms before moving on to the next one. So that would sound like this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And put some time in with that. Often with this kind of funk stuff, it's about having the stamina to sort of keep that groove up, over the course of an entire track sometimes. And I often find with funk stuff that my groove gets better the more I do it. So the first couple of minutes when I'm doing this kind of exercise, it might be shifting around a little bit, but then you find that you're locking in with the groove and it starts to feel a lot more solid. So you definitely want to put some time in with this. Spend 5-10 minutes working through that exercise. If it gets a bit boring just doing it on one chord, then you can shift that 9th chord around, or you could try playing it with a little chord progression. And you certainly want to try this exercise with a metronome as well. That's really important when it comes to funk, just making sure everything is nice and tight and solid. So I'm just going to finish by demonstrating the exercise with a metronome. I've got it set up here at 85 beats per minute, and that sounds like this. So that's a fun exercise, that one. Really good for your rhythm guitar skills and your overall groove, I think. So spend a little bit of time with that. I'll see you tomorrow for day 14.